Good evening, everyone. Today is March 20th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. and this is the Acushnet Planning Board. This meeting is being recorded for future viewing on the town's YouTube page. We are live via Zoom and I'm sure on the cable channel as well. Can I get a motion to open the planning board meeting?
Motion to open the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're all in attendance. Can we all please introduce ourselves, Victoria?
Victoria Alvaro, Town Planner.
Peter Guyap, a member. Steve Boucher, member.
Mark Francois, Chairman.
Brian Deschamps, member.
Rick Ellis, Vice Chairman.
All right, next, minutes. Victoria sent us all the minutes from March 6th. Everybody except Mr. Guyampa, Pete wasn't here. Have we had a chance to look these over, read them, see if there's any issues, questions?
What's up over here? Beaming it here.
I read these over. I didn't see any issues. Anybody else have any comment?
Nope. They seem fine to me.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous. All right, moving right along. There's a hearing scheduled for this evening. The continued site plan review and special permit of 211 Middle Road, map 23, lot 29, 29A, 29B. This hearing will be continued. This is the Middle Road Solar Project. We did reach out to the proponent and ask them to notify everybody again for the next meeting, because they just keep continuing. So Victoria reached out, said we'd like you to re-notify all the abutters, and they didn't have any issue with it. They will re-notify the abutters.
Okay, good.
Can I get a motion to?
I make a motion to continue the public hearing to April 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Board of Selectmen's meeting room.
I'll second it.
Got a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous. All right, moving on, discussions and other topics. Approval not required, Beacon Street, map 15 lot 246, 243, applicant owner Robert Baptiste, represented by Leon Hale, Alpha Engineering. Can someone go up and just tell us why you're here today? Yeah, I know we went over this, but we still gotta tell them why you're here.
Well, the plan is the same as the one that was here a month ago, except for the change that you requested to put a note on lot 246, where it's not a buildable lot, which was done. And also, on the previous plan, on the, under notes, it mentioned Beacon Street, so that's all been erased. So that's not on there anymore. So this is just a plan of land for Mr. Baptiste that shows, which is next to Beacon Street, which eventually he wants to have discontinued, but I think he's gonna have to go before the Board of Selectmen. Because you guys are not able to discontinue a street, that's what you found out from
Correct.
your attorney. So that's the route we're gonna be having to go.
The dash line is kind of a little misleading there.
Yep.
You've done all the changes that you required.
Yeah,
last
no,
meeting,
I
you know?
agree, no, I understand, and I was actually with the town planner this afternoon, and I asked her the same question that Brian just brought up, is that why is there a dashed line if we're not getting rid of, Beacon Street?
Beacon Street.
Why is there a dashed line on the opposite side? I asked Victoria that,
Because you want to remove the lot line, correct? Right?
but
At
yeah,
at this point, to what end? I mean, I guess that would be my question.
Well, to make it one lot, even though it's not buildable until he gets more frontage, you know, all those, a possibility that could be grandfathered, that lot. But I'm not an attorney, yeah, it's possible, it's been like that for years, so that's the intent, what he's trying to do here, just combine that lot with Beacon Street. And he owns land all sides of it anyway, so there's not gonna be anybody, fighting him for it.
he still has to go in front of.
I'm a little confused as to why this plan is even necessary, to be quite honest with you.
That's correct.
I don't see what it accomplishes.
That's right, I tried to
I
tell.
mean, if you want to go through the abandonment process and then come back and show a division line in the center or to either side of it, I think that's fine, but I'm just not sure what this plan accomplishes.
Well, originally that plan was to discontinue Beacon Street, showing the ownership of our client all
Yeah.
the way around. But in a discussion we had at the last meeting, I can't remember, was it 6, a month ago or something?
Couple of meetings back, yeah.
That was brought up about, I think the chairman brought it up about, we don't know if we have the authority. So it said, we'll continue it and have Victoria call up the attorney up in Boston, and that's when they told you people, you don't have the authority to discontinue a street. That's gotta be going before the town meeting.
Yep.
And after that, selectmen approve, you know, if it's approved by then the selectmen will sign off and that becomes discontinued.
And that's fine, but I just don't, I'm having a hard time seeing what this plan
Just sign a
is
plan.
meant to accomplish, other than to create confusion about what might or might not be a building lot at some future date, or right now.
Oh, it says so right on there, not buildable.
I understand that.
So,
I understand that, but I don't
how
know
could
that
it,
that is
how
going
could it be a
to...
problem in the future?
Why, I'll ask the question again. It's just real simple. What is the reason, what is the goal of creating this plan? And I don't understand it.
Can I say something?
Sure.
All it was for me was to add it to that lot. So later on, if I wanted to make one of them lots buildable, either 243 or 246, I could combine them and it would become buildable. Because the other end, they built the house right next to the other side up on Page-Off.
No,
Okay? So I would have the land footage, but where the Beacon Street's in the middle of them, it creates a problem. And the other thing is I've had problems with the other street and up above it, Maylot, and my lawyer, and I can show you the paperwork, says it's a public way, the town owns it, all that stuff, and has to, and so if you go through the thing, I went to the town administrator, he says, the way is to go to the planning board. I brought one paper he made for me, I came before you a year ago, and he said, no, we don't know what the process is, so you gotta find out what the process is. I said, okay, so then she came along, and I talked to her. Now she says, you gotta do it in a Maylai. So, I got it.
Let me correct you for a second.
Okay.
We were in the planning board office, and this gentleman came in asking both of us how we can get rid of this because you wanted to make one large lot.
Yes, that I agree with, yes.
So once that question came in front of us, I said, well, to create frontage, you need a Form C or
You know?
or an A&R to create, but then we needed to get information. Then when you finally came back in front of us, that had flipped. You no longer wanted to get rid of everything, and then you came in front of us wanting to get rid of the paper street.
No, that was right from the go. I wanted it's called abandonment anyway with the Massachusetts state laws. Abandon the paper street so I could add it to my lot. Since I own all the way around it, the law says it has to go back to the abutters. As long as it's been over 21 years that it has not been used and the town has no plans on using it, they can abandon it and it has to go back to the abutters. Okay, which I'm the abutter all over three sides except for on Page Yard. Okay, so I went back to him this last time when it was refused because the gentleman there says that they didn't want on it, that it's a buildable lot. I don't care if it's not a buildable lot, I'd rather not have it a buildable lot. I want to keep the land for me. So I said, okay, what do we gotta do? I go see the town administrator again, he said, this is the easiest way out. He made some phone calls, she had made phone calls to the attorneys, and they told her that you cannot, that the board cannot discontinue the street. But yous could, he told me, he made calls, called me and said, you can approve that, but later I might have to go to a land court, which is crazy for this little piece, which technically I own it all the way around. Now, that's where we are today. They said, that he said it, told her, right, didn't he tell you, that you could approve?
Yes, said we had no authority to discontinue the way.
Right, but you could approve the plan,
Could endorse the A&R.
endorse the plan. And that's why we're here, I wouldn't be here if we couldn't endorse it. That's what they said.
Well, we got,
To me, this seems like the cart before the horse. If
Right,
you're
but
going,
he's
if
been
you're, just listen to me.
Listen to him.
For a moment, I patiently listen to you. It seems like the cart before the horse. If the road is abandoned, then you make it all one lot, the way you're saying you want to, and you're all set, but you have to abandon the road first.
Okay,
I mean, again, I'm going to, at this point, you've talked to obviously a lot of people in town. I'm going to recommend, to alleviate the confusion, that you get your own attorney that's familiar with zoning and have him tell you what he feels the best path is to eliminate Beacon Street and create the one lot that you say you want to create in the first place. And now, before you say anything, you know, these paper streets have recently become more and more of an issue. And until we get a little bit more resolution on how to handle these paper streets, I've got to go back to a publication that was put out by the state of Massachusetts. It's called the A&R Handbook. And it goes over what the board is, when the board is entitled to sign a plan or not. And just bear with me. In determining whether a plan is entitled to be endorsed, approval under the subdivision control law not required, a planning board should ask the following questions. Do the proposed lots shown on the plan front on one of the following types of ways? A public way or a way which the municipal clerk certifies is maintained and used as a public way. Well, obviously, that's not Payjot Street. It says so right on the plan. Private, not built. B, a way shown on a plan which has been previously approved in accordance with the subdivision control law. I believe the magic date is 62. If these lots were created before 62,
1917.
so it has not been created in conformance with the subdivision control law, Payjot Street, based on what you said.
No, that's,
No, I'm just,
I know.
I've got one more. So it doesn't, there's 3 times of streets that we are required to sign. Other things, not an issue. It has to be one of these 3 streets. It's not the first 2. Okay, here's the third one. A way in existence when the subdivision control law took effect in the municipality, which in the opinion of the planning board is suitable for the proposed use of the lots. The street isn't built. It's not suitable.
What do you mean?
The street's not built. No,
Who says-
listen,
says
I'm
it-
going to read it again.
Wait a minute, why
No,
does it say it has to be built?
No. to be built, but it's not presently built.
That's not built. There's houses over there, though.
That's, that's very good. If a mistake was made at one point, and I can't speak to what was done back then or why it was done, doesn't mean the board should keep repeating the same mistake
wrongs
over
don't
and
make a
over
right.
again. But it's quite clear that it has to be a way in existence when the subdivision control law took effect in the municipality, which in the opinion of the planning board is suitable for the proposed use of the lots. It's not built. There is
No, don't use the word built, that's incorrect. It says to be in existence.
not built, not built.
No, we're talking about this. That was on the subdivision plan. Something villa.
That may very
That's in existence
Yeah.
since 1917. It's a paper street.
Yep, that may very well be.
So
We
it
don't,
is.
listen to me, sir. We do not have to sign a plan that does not have frontage on one of those three ways. Go argue with the state and all the cases that went into this approval not required document that the state put together.
What about grandfathered lots? There's grandfathered, these are grandfathered, so you don't need that frontage that you're requiring.
That's,
We're not talking about.
but
a
we
piece of
don't
land.
have to sign a plan unless
Yeah.
it's on.
Can I get a copy of that? I'd appreciate it.
Sure, it's online, anybody can get it.
Yeah,
It's
well.
called the A&R Handbook.
Oh, the
If you just
handbook?
Google the A&R Handbook, let me, and you can go through all the cases if you want, but this particular thing starts on page 42 and 43.
42,
There are
43.
other requirements for us to sign a Form A plan besides this. I'm pretty sure that most of them don't apply in this case, but I won't
Okay.
say that definitively.
All right, let me just get some clarity here.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, based on the number of these Form A requests on unbuilt streets that have come in, me personally, I would not vote to sign this. I'm just the rest of the board, it's up to them. You know, there's separate individuals, they can make their own decisions.
The thing is what you're saying is I can never take a piece of my lot and add it to another one without having a street.
No, I'm just saying, get the street abandoned, come back with a plan, and even then, in terms of buildability,
I just
even
want
though
to add it to my lot, that's all I want to do. I brought these little lots back on the taxpayer, and I paid all the back taxes on these little lots. I got like 4 little lots there, and I paid the back taxes and everything, and I can't even, square off my lot or do anything with it. I think that's terrible, that I can't take a piece of my lot and put over there after,
Well,
all the money I spent over there on unbuildable lots. In the middle over there where that street is, it's all wet.
If we were to sign this, these lots still would not be combined.
That's why I've been talking to the administrator, and I told him this time that if you go and Google your phones when you leave, like I did, can a town in Massachusetts abandon, not discontinue, abandon a paper street? And the law my lawyer said is there, law, it's 58 something. Can they abandon it? Yes. And if they don't have, it says right on there, long as it's been 21 years, there's no utilities on it, no one's in use of it, and the town can abandon it with, it says it on it, you can look at it after 21 years. If they don't have a town council, like New Bedford's got the town council,
Yeah.
if they don't have that, it can go in a like body. It didn't say, not the planning board, not the executive board. So I brought that to the administrator and told him, and he said, listen, they can approve it there. And he talked to her, and he said they can endorse the plan. And then he sent me back to her again. So what I'm saying to you is if he saw the executive board had to do it, because that's what I mentioned to him, can the executive board do it? He says, this is your best way out right now, is just to get them to endorse the plan. That way it can be, so that's what I'm saying, it's all messed up, but if you Google that when you leave,
Bob,
don't take my word.
Bob, can I make a suggestion? How about the planning board sign a plan, except the one that doesn't want to, and then from there, he's gonna have to come up with another plan, he's gonna have to submit to the town meeting for the discontinue of Beacon Street. And then if he wants to subdivide, he's gonna have to come back here again. But I don't think he's interested in that right now. That's my
Then why
suggestion.
spend the money on the plan in the first place, sir? I,
In the beginning, when I came to there, I was told I had to go before the planning board for that. That's why we did it,
for what?
for this plan.
To discontinue the road.
Right, but I
Right.
think,
Well, that's a difference.
Well,
Then that's what you have to do first.
that's what we did.
You have to.
He sent me here 3
Well,
times,
we're-
I've talked to the minister.
We would
Jamie.
Sir, when we've done this before,
By right.
we have to recommend to the selectmen whether or not the street could be discontinued, period. Not sign any plans.
You do? You people do? I didn't know, I wasn't aware of
Well,
that.
what's, that what I told you.
Sir, you guys need to get an attorney that's familiar
I talked to him.
with the
We had the same
process.
problem up here.
No, sorry.
She said the town has to abandon it.
Okay, what did, right, I'm gonna interrupt.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So what's gonna happen here, if this is what your lawyer's telling you, which is fine, the lawyer's probably right, but I can't just sit here and take your word for what you're telling me some other person said.
That's why I said Google that when I told
No,
you.
I can't do that
Abandon
either.
Street.
I can't do that either. I apologize, I can't Google that either, I can't do any of that. The only way I can do it is if your lawyer writes something up saying this case law, these reasons, these laws, you come in, you give it to me, it's gonna be gibberish to me. I'm gonna hand it to my attorney, and then my attorney's gonna read it over, double check what your attorney said, and then he'll either say, yeah, he's right, or, sorry, he's wrong. Then it comes back to me, we look at you and say, hey, your lawyer was right, you win. Or, sorry, the lawyer was wrong, you lose. But right now, I can't take what you're saying as gospel. I just can't. Now, with that being said, okay, we heard one person's opinion of what's going on. Do you have an opinion?
I just think that when you found out that you couldn't discontinue the road, that we couldn't do it, you should have just gone the other route. You know, not go through all what you're going through right now. You should have just, okay, I gotta take the road. So you should have went on with trying to do that instead of, you're trying, in a way, what he said is true. You're trying to put something here that doesn't need to be here. It just doesn't.
What you need to do is ask your attorney, what are the steps required to abandon this road in the town of Acushnet? And you're gonna get a sheet that's about this long, or maybe even 2 pages, that outlines every single step that's required. As I recall, and we haven't had a discontinuance of a street in the last 10 years or so, the first step was to come to petition the selectmen. The selectmen then refer that to the planning board for their opinion as to whether the street should be discontinued or not. And then there's a whole litany of other steps that you need to go through, including going to town meeting, and there's notification of abutters, which you're the only one, so that will be easy enough for you to do. But I can't tell you verbatim every single step. Start with your attorney. Tell us what your attorney thinks the steps should be. We'll put it in front of the town's attorney and say, are these the proper steps to go through to discontinue a street? And then go forward. But this is not the way, my opinion.
Comment?
I'm sorry.
Comment, it's not just about these 2 lots, obviously, it's 3 lots, because we're moving this lot line, because we got a here and here, but also, by right, okay, you own both pieces of property right here. This road has never been accepted by the town. By right, you basically, by right, you own to the center of that road.
Right, on each side.
On each side. So, I mean, unless you plan on developing it, okay?
Do whatever you want.
You do whatever you want on that piece of property, okay? The building inspector may look at that and say, well, you know, if you can or cannot put a structure within that street, that has to do with zoning and the building inspector.
I understand all that.
But other than, you know, potential intent of trying to develop this at a later point, again, that would have to go through the building commissioner, and he's either gonna send it here or zoning board of appeals. However, you know, just looking at this is actually changing the property lines of, well, this is actually 3 lots that you got going on. You got your big lot over here, you got your dotted line, now you're moving that back to grab a piece of Cushman Street. I'm not sure why this other little corner's jogged up on the property.
Those existing property lines.
All the lines
On
are
the
property.
assessor's map.
That lot, that's the existing lot, so you want it, you're trying to move it to the dotted line?
I'm trying to move the street just to that one lot. So that way, if I ever did sell the other one up there on Page Off, because they built the house right there, they built the house and then they had to get approval to approve the street. Once they got approved the street, they got the occupancy of the house.
Yep.
The street wasn't put in until they built the house. That I know. So I figured that might be buildable someday, that other lot. And if I wanted to add the both two together, fine. But if I never did, at least I got my whole lot and I don't have to worry about somebody coming on and saying, oh, this is Beacon Street, because I've already had that problem on May Lot. This guy says he owned half of it. Went to the attorney, paid a lot of money, sent his lawyer letters to leave me alone because he put a no trespass on me. He says he does not own half the street. It's a public way. It's a paper street. It's a public way. And the only thing they can do with it, he's gonna let me use the length of it, I got it in the width, and he can use it in anybody else. And I got, you know, still got that letter that he sent to their lawyer, and then and told him that the trespassing they put on me for there wasn't right. And the town, she checked with the town, and the town said they have not abandoned it to date. That's the other street, just give you an example what the lawyer said.
So,
But even the building inspector, the old one that was here, Millette, he told me with that guy, why don't you just split the street with him? You go to the town, they split the street, he gets half, you get half, you're both happy. You know, but then I come to the town, I go to the administrator 3 times already, and I'm not getting nowhere. You know, send me to the executive board, you know, and let them abandon it, because it's not discontinued, it's abandoned, and it's not a private way, it's a public way. I've been through this with that one, and that's all I'm explaining to you guys. There's gotta be a way to do it. Another guy, a surveyor, said they do it for Haven, they would've went right through with it, you know, because I own all the sides of it. But I just trying to get it the easiest way out of and I wanted to keep it so I could have, I got a path in there that we use in the summertime. I got kids, you know, grandchildren of my group, and it goes all the way around. I bring them in the back of the tractor. I'm just saying, see, I want to keep the lots the way they are, so that it ain't a buildable lot, because then the taxes go up, and then I say, can't afford the taxes, might as well sell the lot. You know, so I'm just keeping it for my
I
purpose.
feel your pain, but like I said, right now, by right, you don't own the center of the street, but you get because it's there, it's on paper, you basically, by right, you
Right.
get to the center of that.
On both
And because you
Both
own
sides.
property on both sides, you got the right to that.
but my
Right, so to that
question,
street.
is, the street has boundaries. The paper street has boundaries. This is a boundary to this paper street, and this is a boundary to the paper street. We've been told that we cannot discontinue a paper street. So what gives us the right to get rid of the boundary of this paper street?
I will say the board asked at the last meeting they were here for, before they denied this one, for them to put that the lot was not buildable
They did.
and to remove all references to discontinuing the way. I will say the applicant did do that.
Which
This
they did.
discussion did not
But was this
come
the
up with
dotted line on the last one?
Yes, it was. So-
Was, but all you're saying is now, when they changed the plan, all they should have done is put a solid line there.
I would have left the street though. It's,
But then that's not changing anything on the plan.
but we also did say we don't, it has to go to the selectmen. We made that pretty clear when it came down to discontinue the street, abandoning the street, whatever you want to call it. Okay, the selectmen they're the ones with the jurisdiction.
That
for
may
the
be,
streets to
but
do that.
you're right about the dashed line. I mean, right now,
Yeah.
Beacon Street is a separate entity, not part of that lot. I don't understand. I still don't understand the reason.
And these dotted lines down here on the bottom, you're trying to get rid of, you're gonna discontinue these dotted lines as well? So this section becomes part of this lot, and this section becomes part of this lot.
No, this is showing that these
What
are
I'm-
connected,
yeah.
that's what these are tie bars.
But what I'm
Okay.
struggling with, guys,
So these
is,
are already
he
part
owns,
of.
Yeah,
what I'm struggling with, guys,
Aren't they
is
solid?
he owns all the land.
Why aren't they solid?
No one's gonna tell him to do anything with his
He must
land.
be like showing.
He can do
as
whatever he
separate lots.
wants with it.
But he's showing tie bars.
The plan, I don't
So he is-
understand. I don't
he owns
understand the
both. He's
purpose
not
of
trying
You
to
can walk
add
on that
to the
tomorrow,
story.
and go right down all the way
I don't know why
from
they do
Paint
this.
Jar, all the way to my.
That may be, but
And I can't tell you, you can't go there.
I don't
It's a
understand
public way.
the purpose
The town
of
owns
this
it.
particular
That is
plan.
that he's either trying
town owns
to
it.
take
That's-
this piece and add it to that lot. and
Until
this
they
piece
abandon
and
it,
add
the
to
town
that
owns it.
lot.
And there's
I
a law
didn't
on that, too, in
realize that
state
this
law.
is not-
those are.
Then get together with your
Yeah, those are-
attorney.
Can we get,
Yeah,
sorry,
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
need one
sorry.
person talking at a
It's my
time.
problem.
Can you continue, please?
Yeah, I mean, Leon, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the bottom of, close to the bottom of the plan, well, let me back up. The only lot line that's changing on the plan, right, is where Beacon Street is, everything else is.
Yeah,
how it
because
is.
there were existing lots on the assessors, those dotted lines are just shown on that.
Okay,
Showing that's what those lots are.
okay.
Same thing with the dash line for Beacon Street.
I'm not trying to be difficult, and maybe I'm just not very bright, but why is this a solid line? This is a solid line, this is solid, everything's solid outlining this lot. Why is that not solid? That's what I don't
Because
understand.
what, the whole purpose was to add Beacon Street to that,
No,
246.
I'm not talking about this line.
Okay, what are
I'm talking about this line, and this line. They're not solid. Now, if they're just the typical lot lines, again, talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old.
Okay, when,
Why are they dotted?
I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about.
This line right here,
Okay, that's all part of this lot here. With the assessor put these two lots that I bought before, right, they came together, it's added to this, that's why he's got the dotted line, because this is one lot. This is one big lot, now I pay taxes on an acre and a half, and as I just got my taxes, these have been added,
this lot's been added to this lot's been added to this.
yes, that's all, 15, lot 15. That's that's all there, so my whole purpose is, if I
And I
can
can,
do
and I
this,
can understand what you're saying. Like,
Okay,
I said,
now-
why are these lines even there?
well, I don't know, that's, I didn't put them there, I'm just
Here's the
saying.
assessor plan. There's a lot. Here's that little lot, right there.
Yep,
There's the other one,
Right
right
there.
there.
Yep.
Beacon Street.
so there's solid lines here.
Well,
And I'm not saying you don't
Well,
own them,
no,
I'm not
no,
saying
no,
you don't.
no.
I'm just wondering why they're
no,
not
but those
solid lines.
right, but
I'm still confused. I don't really know
I
what the
brought him,
purpose
because
of the
last
plan
time
is.
we had a problem with him, he added, by accident,
Yeah, and
he
I
added
remember,
this to this, okay, he added this to this, and I says, no, this is part of this lot, this is my frontage here, I don't want this disappearing, so he didn't know that either, so I told him, and then I brought him something from the assessor's office, she gave it to me, Kelly. She gave it to me, she showed me a piece of paper from the computer that shows no lines. No lines, it's been added, and my acreage went up
What did
there.
I say, 1917?
I added them two lots 5 years
There
ago.
it is, right there.
okay, well, we're not here for this, we're here for this, so.
Right, and you see my purpose is
I-
if this comes to this, and I ever got rid of this lot, I could keep this.
Here, okay, go
as a
ahead,
whole
sign
lot.
it.
Peter, do you have any comments?
I'm just a little concerned about the dotted lines. I know they don't mean that they're assessor lines, but
That's right.
they're still,
But no, that's all one lot though, like I just explained to you.
Yeah.
Take these out of here.
Yeah, these are just tie bars.
This is
that's all
all
they
one
are.
lot. Now, I added these with the assessors, and I went to her and I says, was you you did that for
So
me?
these tie bars?
Because I said, I could add this lot to this. She says, yes, you can.
Okay.
With the assessors, they just put it on
When we
one
said,
big lot,
when
you can never go
they
back to the
found
other
out that
half.
they couldn't do
I could never
this,
sell this separate
what they
out.
should have done is,
I
they
can't
should
sell
have been
these
made
separate
solid line
That's
again.
part of this. And the
With-
assessor did it, but.
They got this
I didn't-
right, they got the
Hey,
non-buildable
nothing.
lot, they
I
put the
just don't
note
want
saying it was a
people coming over
non-buildable
here, 'cause I
lot.
had trouble over here.
What they, the part
You
that
see,
they
so I
missed,
wanted
is
this
they
to
should have
add
made
to
this
here
a
so that I wouldn't
solid
have no
line.
problems
End of story.
with anybody.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Brian. Can you say that one more time?
They did what we asked, okay? They put non-buildable lot,
Yep.
they changed the note up here.
Yep.
What they did when they made the plan too is they should have taken away the hidden line. Because technically, that hidden line doesn't exist, okay? It's a solid line. Right now, you look at the plan, you kind of get the impression that, hold it, these are being combined. Technically, they're not. Okay, they're not being combined.
But if we sign this plan, with this disappearing, doesn't his property go from here to here to here to here to here? Doesn't this disappear and now this acreage or this square footage become part of this? Because there's no line there?
That's what I'm saying. It does have the appearance now is saying that these lots, it makes the appearance that they are combined. They put the note, they did this, but they also should have made that hidden line solid.
Unless he wants this to be part of this and wants us to sign this, so this becomes part of this.
Right.
I think
I go back to what Rick said, it's cost before the cut.
I'm gonna, Mark, when you mentioned, and I'm not clear on this little thing that says this portion of a lot is now going to become part of this?
It already is.
Already is.
It already is?
Yes.
So why does it even show on?
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, it already is, not per the assessors, but per the actual lots that exist at the registry of deeds. I don't know how the fact that the assessors show one way or another does really not have any standing on, where that lot line is today. If I look at this, just look at this plan, forget the assessors for a moment, it looks like this is being added to this, which makes this lot in the back have frontage along here, which it, by the looks of this plan, it didn't have before. I don't know. And it's still, I still don't understand what the reason to do this plan is. I really don't. That's just me.
Right.
The rest of you guys do whatever.
I think when they found out they couldn't take the road, they should have just went the other avenue and not gone this route. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, so I will say town council did say we should endorse the plan, right? And that they did say the building inspector cannot treat lot 1 on the plan as a lot until the way is discontinued and added to the lot. Which, it does say not buildable on here, so it's already assumed it cannot, it cannot be built on. So I just think the board should consider that we did reach out to town council about this and.
All right, let me put another question to you guys. Pros and cons to signing this set of plans right now. What would he gain or not?
I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of the plan is. Tell me what it is. I haven't heard anything
just
from
to add
them
the
that
Beacon
tells me
Street-
why they need us to sign this plan.
Because the administrator said this is the way to go.
Then
First
he
of all,
needs to
the
sign
town
the plan.
administrator
sir.
the town administrator shouldn't be commenting on a lot of the things that happen in this room.
I agree.
Town administrator is, he's the top dog right below the select board, but there's certain things that the town administrator shouldn't agree to you without talking to me.
This note, if you really read the note, the applicant owns all abutting lots to the portion of Beacon Street shown, which is private and not built. Refer to Mass Law, Chapter 183, Section 50. Derelict fee statute provides fee interest to the center line of the way and carries with it the right to use it for all intents and purposes. All sides of the street are owned by the applicant, and the request is to merge the portion of said Beacon Street shown with the land by applicant line to form Lot 1 as shown on the plan. So in a way, it seems like the note is endorsing what you did here with the hidden line right now. Instead of saying at this time, Beacon Street, you can't do anything with Beacon Street. You're not saying that in this note. You're just saying you have rights to it. You don't have rights to it. Not until someone says you can have rights to it. Well, you have rights to it, but they're not given to you yet. You don't have them.
Technically, he has rights because he owns both sides.
Yeah, he's
of it.
got rights.
But you can't eliminate the lines and put a house there or put anything over those lines because those lines still exist.
Right.
And I do not have the authority to discontinue those lines, as we discussed at the last meeting. I know that they were here before, and I know that we told them to go back and do a few different things, which they did.
I think my only thing is about this should have been a solid line. That's it with me.
I agree.
That's all I gotta say.
I agree.
I
If
have
this
no
was a
other-
solid line, and I'm not endorsing the removal of this line, and that, if by endorsing this plan, I'm agreeing that this line can disappear.
Right.
And that the square footage of this road now can be combined with this lot. And
Once that's abandoned, yeah.
once,
You gotta abandon Beacon Street before you can merge it into the other lot.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right, but what we're saying right now, the plan has the appearance that it is.
but even if it does, let's just say again, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate, even if it is. even if-
Right now, he sells this lot to somebody, he sells this lot to somebody else, they each own to the center line of the street.
Yep.
That's the potential. You know, and this should be right now and always, until Beacon Street is abandoned, a separate lot. Period.
Right.
And we still get into the other issue about signing A&R plans on unbuilt streets.
Okay. We've gone back and forth.
Yeah.
We've all heard what was said. We are 5 individual votes. We have 5 people that vote individually on what is here. I'll entertain a motion.
Yes.
You don't want my motion.
I want somebody to make a
Can we see
motion.
what came from council,
Yes.
please?
Do you want me to read it out loud?
That's fine.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the planning board has to endorse the plan as an A&R if the words approval under the subdivision control law not required are added in the PB signature block, I'm sorry. This is essentially a perimeter plan and not a plan showing a division of land into 2 or more lots. However, it appears the applicant is looking to treat the planning board signature as sufficient to discontinue private way. Planning board has no authority to do that. They need to go to land court to eliminate the rights of others in the way and establish their own title. The building inspector cannot treat lot 1 on the plan as a lot until the way is discontinued and added to the lot.
There's no subdivision on that plan either. There's no lots being changed and new lines added. So it's not really a subdivision.
I'm gonna entertain a motion to sign this plan as presented.
I'll make a motion, we sign the plan as presented, just because that's what council told us we should do.
I have a motion. Rick?
What? No, I'm not gonna second it. I feel, I feel very strongly
We have
about it.
one nay.
I'm not either because of that line. The appearance is not right, so I'm not going to.
We have 2 nays,
You have 3.
3 nays.
That's it. No majority.
All I can say, I would recommend that you go to the selectman's office, get that abandoned, and then it will be a lot clearer for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like putting people in this type of situation where they come, they go, they come, they go, they come, they go, and they keep going back and forth. I've been in that situation, I don't like putting other people in that situation. I do have concerns of this. if there was a difference in votes, then I would recommend that you get rid of this street.
That's what I've been trying to do.
Right now, well, whether or not we sign this or not, doesn't change that aspect. Whether we approve this as an A&R or not, doesn't change the fact that it could or couldn't change the road.
I've actually talked to one of the selectmen, and he said he'd do anything I wanted to do.
Then that's great, that's great.
That
Now you're
was
just gonna get two
before all
of them,
this.
now you're just gonna get two of them to agree, because they need a majority, but that's fine. And I want you to get rid of this. I don't not want you to. But what would happen is, and one of the things that I try as chairman of this board, is to set a precedence. And right now, we have an issue, not only with you, but a lot of people with paper streets, okay? And if somebody else comes to me in this same situation, or if there is somebody else out there, because there's a lot of little lots out there, and there's a lot of paper streets in this town. And now, if somebody's listening, and they said, hey, I have a lot of here, I have a lot of here, and there's this BS paper street in between me, if they did it for him, they're gonna come and do it for me. And technically, we cannot eliminate the road, the paper street. If, like Brian said, if this was solid, I would have signed the plan. That means that the boundaries of this paper street are intact. I agree with Pete and town council that whether we signed it or not, it probably wouldn't have made a difference, because you really couldn't do much of anything.
It's not gonna change the use,
It's
it's
not
not
gonna
gonna
change the use.
change anybody coming to there, there's not, it's,
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm on the fence whether I would have or I wouldn't have, depending on what these guys voted.
Doesn't matter.
But I would recommend continuing, because again, I'm not stopping or slowing, we are not stopping or slowing you down in any way, shape, or form to get rid of the street. I would continue on that path, if you'd like, to do that. And I hope you come back in front of me when this is gone, or if the select board comes to us and says, hey, what's your thoughts on this? And he wants to discontinue it, yeah, let him go. I'd be in favor of it for you.
yeah, we definitely would.
I would be in
We're
favor
not
of
trying
it
to
for you.
stop it, okay? We
Yeah,
just have
I'm not trying to stop.
We
you
have to
get
do
rid
it
of
by
this.
the rules.
So my next step
Why
is
was I
executive.
told I had to go before the planning board?
Who's
When I
that?
first originally went into the office,
Whose office?
planning board,
No, you.
Victoria and you. That's what you told me that. I had to go before the
Whoa,
A&R.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
I think there's been a lot of changes to what's on the plan and what the purpose of the plan is, and it's created a lot of
The
confusion.
point is, I should have never gone before the planning board.
You walked into the planning board, and I
Yes.
said it earlier.
Yes.
You walked into the planning board and you asked what you needed to do to make this one whole lot. You wanted to get rid of all the lines. At that time, I did not know whether we could or could not discontinue this road. We had to wait from town council, wait to hear from town council. Then, when you finally did come back, the story had been changed. Then you kept lot lines on. But that's not the story you gave me at the planning board that day that Victoria and I were at the office. You said you wanted to get rid of all the lines and make one big lot. I said, well, to do that, you come in with an A&R and we'll do what we can.
No, I'm not just,
Don't say we said this, we said that, and we should have said this. I'm telling you what I can and cannot do. And I have nothing against you, sir. I have nothing against you, Mr. Baptiste, and I really don't care if this road goes away. That's not my point here tonight, is to slow you down or stop you in any way, shape, or form.
Like I said, I Googled it, and it says that a town, if you don't have a town council, it has to be a like board. So I thought,
And if
maybe-
that is the case, and if your lawyer says that is the case, have your lawyer write that up. If it's a legal, abandonment situation, if that's the case, and then I just throw it my lawyer's way and have him give me the thumbs up, I'll sign it.
All right.
I'll sign it. I'm not here to not help you.
So I don't know if this is a like meeting, maybe they mean the executive board, and then there's other towns I looked up out of the state of Mass that they go through the clerk's office to abandon a paper street. See, so everybody does.
Every state's
If
different.
you wanna go in front of the select board with that, and they're a like board, and they wanna sign on that, bring it my way,
We're
then
not signing on it, it's a, you know, to, if you have a meeting, and you have a town meeting and say.
Same thing, you go to the
abandon it.
select board, and your lawyer, because they're gonna request the same thing, they're not gonna just take your word for it, they're gonna request the same thing. If you have a letter from your lawyer saying that this is, you know, X amount of years old and it's abandonment, and you give it to the select board, and they say, and they take that paper, send it to our council gives them the thumbs up, then they go back and they vote, and it says it's abandonment, I'm on their side, we're good. I'm good, as long as lawyers agree. That's all.
Okay, well. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You want the money on that?
Huh?
You want the money on it? I can charge it if you
Huh?
want.
I'll give it, I'll. Thank you very much.
No problem.
When I'm-
Anyway.
Looking at this part,
Yep.
this says remaining land, this page, this says different reference. So
Yeah,
that's a
because he
different-
got these later. Okay.
If it were just this lot, then this thing would not have the ability to get any frontage, because it's just on the end of the street. By making this a portion of this lot, now you got 54.88 feet of frontage.
Well,
Which you didn't have to-
Frontage.
No, this isn't frontage.
True.
The end of the street's not frontage, but you have, and I'd have to go back and look at the zoning bylaw to see whether it's continuous frontage or not. I mean, if you have 10 feet of frontage here, and 20 feet there, and 50 feet there, and you just keep going until you add up to 150 feet, that's one thing, but it doesn't look to me like this lot has any frontage as it exists today, just by this deed reference.
Right.
But isn't it fronted on Cushman Street?
Why do you need to do this? I don't understand. I'm just asking.
Yep.
I still have the same question. What is the purpose of this plan? And I don't see
It
what
lost
it is.
its purpose
Somewhere.
when they couldn't absorb the road.
Yeah,
Well, let him work on getting
Okay.
rid of the road.
fair enough.
Moving on. Discussion on solar bylaw amendment. At our last meeting, I had mentioned that if you all wanted to take a quick look through the bylaw, see if there's anything you'd like to add, change, fix, amend. Victoria has gone through, and she's made a couple of red line changes, nothing's been changed, suggestions. We can go through these relatively quickly, so we can all kind of see what her thoughts are, and then we can, as a group, agree, disagree, change. Victoria,
Alrighty. Okay.
walk us through.
Sure. So, y'all should have this in your packet, for your review. So there was a few things with like consistency of the language and how we're referring to the arrays. Just making sure we're using the same term every time, just for consistency. There's some sections that are a little repetitive. For example, there's sections in the landscaping, then there's an open space maintenance, and then there's a separate landscaping, screening, and drainage section. So those can kind of all be.
Could you walk us through one comment at a time?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I think that would just be a little bit clearer.
Okay, so first comment 1 was about just consistently referring to the solar arrays with the same wording. Comment number 2 is, I thought it was those couple sentences were a little bit repetitive, because they're both saying it applies to construction and modifications. Just something to think about to revise that language. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to stop me. comment number 3 is specifying, like we had discussed at a previous meeting, for instead of saying, just installation, we should specify what that is. So I believe a suggestion was to say edge of panels.
Yes, that's the major one that kind of started the whole
Yeah.
thing. Right, okay.
Yeah. And then comment number 4 goes back to something else that got brought up. It mentions natural topographic features, but then we have a project before us that is constructing a berm. So, I mean, you could change the language to just say some sort of vegetative screening or berm or something like that, just so that's not a point of ambiguity. Comment number 5, that I wasn't really sure what the intent was of that sort of line. I don't know if the board has any insight on that, but I was a little confused reading it.
All right, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I mean, unless I'm reading it incorrectly, that little paragraph is just reiterating or just commenting that we don't have the right to deny a solar project.
Okay. I was confused because it says use permitted as of right, but you require a special permit. So that's why I was just confused.
Yeah,
as to
I
the-
think by right, anybody can come in and if they meet the regular.
Right, that's what I thought as well.
So, yeah, so I think it's just saying there's nothing in this article that says that you cannot build a photovoltaic solar field,
It can get disclaimer.
except for, I think it's just making.
That's what I
yeah,
figured,
explain.
but I was, okay. Comment number 6 was just a suggestion to say from code to bylaws, to change the wording. Comment 7 was just to add, it mentions, necessary permits and specifies building and stormwater, just to add other permits as applicable, just to be covered.
That's good, I agree.
Something that's a red line is not a specific comment, but sometimes in this bylaw, it said planning commission, sometimes it's planning board. I believe technically we are the planning board, so it should just be consistent throughout.
That's a good question. Are we a planning board? Are we a planning commission? Are we both?
Or probably a planning
Says
commission.
planning board on
Aye.
letterhead.
I've opened this meeting many times, and sometimes I say, welcome to the planning commission, other times I say, welcome to the planning board. What are we?
I don't know, and I don't know when the change was made, because we always were the planning board 30 years ago. How we became the planning commission, I'm not sure. And maybe we were improperly called the planning board 30 years ago. I don't know. I don't have the answer to
I
that.
think it's planning board. I've actually never heard planning commission before, but I can check for sure. I think I did contact the town administrator's office and town clerk's office a few months ago about it.
It would be in our charter.
Yeah, I think it's planning board.
I mean, we get elected to the planning board.
Let's just
so
put a thing a little low, let's get clarification, and whatever we find out, that's the way we're gonna run with it from now on.
There you go.
Okay.
And if that is the case, then yes, all of these red lines should be planning board instead of
Okay.
commission. Agreed.
Okay. And there was a couple grammatical things I just with my red lines in the section 1.5. Let's see. Comment number 8. Comment number 8. So this is about establishing a special permit fee and having the applicant come to the board. So for this project we had before us through this bylaw, that did not happen, and we also have a set permit fee. So it doesn't matter the application. So I wasn't sure if it was the board's intent to create a separate fee or just to leave the flat fee that we already have. Because if that's the case, then we can just remove that kind of language.
Good question.
I do not want to get into the practice of setting fees
Okay.
from one solar project to another.
Okay.
I am of the, anybody can chime in, but I think we should just, this is what it costs for a solar permit, this was what it costs for a Form C, this is what, and we have it on our forms,
Correct.
fee schedule, and that's what it is. There's no, again, if you do round numbers, you do $50 for this guy, and then all of a sudden another guy comes in, you're doing $100 for this guy, and if there's no consistency, why, then favoritism starts to come into play.
Right.
A fee is a standard fee for everybody.
Correct.
So yeah, if that's what that, and I'll read it all over, if that's what it means, go.
Okay. All right, so moving to section 1.6, application process. There's just a couple grammatical things, and then I also suggest removing the number of copies required from the site plan. We have a different document that the board had approved a few months ago with filing requirements, and that can change, so that might be better to not have in a bylaw about like copies of plans and things. Just a suggestion.
Can I go,
yeah.
can I go just back to, up on the top, the edge of the, with, basically, number 3 for you,
Number 3, okay.
okay? That should be the edge of panel or any,
Structure.
any structure, which could be, battery storage.
Agreed.
Okay. But not including drainage structures.
Right, not including fences, not,
Okay. So,
No, structure, yeah. Yeah, drainage, that'd be underground, no. And
Okay.
then structure.
okay. Okay. So going back to 1.6, there was another reference about the application fee and special permit fees, so I recommend striking that. And then another line, I was just continuing on with the other sentence just to make it a little more concise. Section 1.7, again, just a couple grammatical things. And then that brings me to comment number 9. So in the earlier paragraph of comment number 9, it already mentions that a conservation review is required. So I was just wondering if the board felt those specific paragraphs relating to a conservation review are necessary. Totally, up to the board.
So you're saying that those 2 paragraphs, a paragraph is repetitive?
I think so, because it already mentions a Concom review, so they're already going to review it for, their department's purview. So you're basically just kind of specifying in that paragraph what that purview is, Wetlands Protection Act and stormwater.
Okay.
Comment number 10, just a little bit similar, just rewording that. It's a little wordy. 1.8, just another grammatical change. Comment number 11, which is moving under general information. Same thing, another kind of repetitive thing that it says in 1.8. Alright, and then I didn't have anything for a few pages, don't know if anybody else did, but so right under vehicular and emergency access is comment number 12. This was something else that I don't know if it came up with the board, but something that I thought of with talking to emergency services, that the emergency access roadway should be inside the security fence line.
Yes,
So I just thought that should be specified
agreed.
for safety. Number 2 under vehicular and emergency access, that is already being waived by the board. It's about requiring accident data for the previous 3 years. So even if just that piece of it is sort of revised, I don't think it's necessary to have the applicant provide crash data, because you're only seeing vehicles in and out during construction. It's not something that's going to have a traffic impact on the roadway. So just something to take a look at.
I think it's still not a bad idea to have it, because it's one of the things we do review is the construction access. Obviously, clear view, all the rest of the stuff, you know, we've done it in the past, I mean.
Right, it just
I've
seems
only
like you're doing a survey on that for something that's temporary.
Right, but I mean, we're gonna be looking at.
That's what she's saying. Yeah.
Right, and
Right.
you are already waiving providing the crash data for this first application that came through. So it's just something to consider as you work through it. Not necessarily saying the site distances and, you know, roadway conditions, that sort of thing, but definitely relating to traffic, might not be
Right, a
necessary.
traffic study for a temporary,
Correct,
Yeah.
impact, yeah. Okay, so that brings me to item 14. Again, Ryan alluded to earlier, this section's a little repetitive. I think that can be combined with the landscaping section. This is the open space maintenance section. Talks about screening, landscaping, and planting, which is similar to what the landscaping section speaks to. Again, comment 15, which is under use regulations. That one talks about, again, like minimum frontage and side setbacks, which are all mentioned previously in the bylaw. Comment number 16, this one did come up during the filing that's in front of us, was about specifying the type of security fence. You know, typically we see a chain link, but if there's, you know, other accepted types or preferred types by the board, that might be good to have in there to give the applicant some direction.
I agree with that one wholeheartedly as far as, you know, which types of fence we prefer. 'Cause
the board should have the say on what that fence is gonna be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But should we put it in here so they know when they're designing the plans that this is what we want or prefer?
Right,
Yeah, we
Right.
should have some wording in here saying we don't want
Absolutely.
that farm fence that we got on
we don't want
Robinson
some
Road.
fence that we can see through.
Yeah,
We want a fence that's gonna be either stockade, vinyl, whatever it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a solid fence that we can't see through.
Well, for screen,
I
but
mean,
this is for the security.
alternatively, you know, you could just say, we want an 8-foot-high berm around the whole thing, and let them ask for relief from that. I mean, it is a special permit, we can change things in it. I'm just playing the other side of the coin. You know, make them ask if they want something different, or just say out, you gotta say, it's easier to just say outright what you want, period.
right.
Right.
You know, it's,
Yeah, we definitely don't want wire fences anymore. That's
And,
just
and
ugly.
Victoria's right, this is a security fence inside. This is not part of the screening fence
Right.
on the
True.
outside.
True.
yep.
So if it's a security fence inside, I don't know about you guys, but I'm okay with a
Chain.
regular chain link
Right,
fence.
yeah,
You
they
can
got
see
whatever
through.
they want.
That's a security to not allow anybody in and out.
Right,
A visual screening fence is what we should have in here as we don't want to see through it.
yeah, okay.
Period, end of
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah,
Okay, so comment number 17, that was just saying again, it might be good to specify, you know, you want the security fence surrounding the installation. What is the installation, right? So probably the edge of panels or any structure like the battery storage,
Right.
that sort of thing, just to make it clear, to the applicants. Comment number 18, it was to to consider deleting the security fence goes on the outside of the emergency access road, encased around the array. Should be something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want the roadway inside
Yeah,
the security.
Yeah, so that sentence, it says all security fences surrounding the installation shall be set back from the property line. A distance the planning board determines necessary. If it's already gonna be around the array, which is already set back, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no need for that to be in
Right,
there.
we can't determine, if we already are setting back 150 feet for the structure,
Mhm.
panels, then they're gonna put the road,
Right,
then they're gonna put
right
the
after-
fence.
Right,
We really don't have the right to say, 'cause we don't want the fence within so many feet, because that's determining twice.
yeah,
yeah, okay, alright.
You know, I'm good, I think that was part of the,
I mean,
Brian brought it, it made it pretty clear, you know, we go to edge of the building on anything else, and you're gonna, around your house, and where's your fence go? out on the property line.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, if they wanna put it on the property line, they can put it on the property line, they wanna put it next to the access road, they can put it on the access road, they can,
Yeah.
but,
It's where the panels are.
right.
That's where the panels are. and the
But
access
we're
road.
not requiring X amount of feet.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comment number 19, that's at the bottom of the page. This is another section that is, has to do with noise impacts and visual impacts that's mentioned in other sections of the bylaw, like where it talks about screening. So just consider either combining or removing, just to, to remove the repetitiveness. Again, comment number 20, a little repetitive as well. Already mentioned earlier in the bylaw that it has to conform to all applicable federal and state laws and regulations and the town code, I think it says in there. So that's something else to consider. Okay, 21, again, I had mentioned this earlier when we talked about the open space maintenance section and potentially combining it with this maintenance and landscaping section, just to make it a little more cohesive. And then comment 22 under endorsement of the site plan 1.11 was about, I saw in here that it's required to have a Mylar, and says to be submitted for signature, but it doesn't require recording at the registry. I imagine it's the intent to have it recorded at the registry if you're requiring a Mylar, but I wanted to pose that to the board if you even wanted a Mylar, or,
Well, the plans have to be registered at the registry of deeds,
Do they?
But it does say submitted the signature and filing.
don't they? If they're gonna be registered at the registry of deeds, then the registry only takes my lot.
well, that's correct, but you don't have to have these recorded at the registry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
So that's
yeah.
Yeah,
We
so that's,
don't have to have them recorded at the registry?
no.
No, because it's really just a site plan.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
There's another community I worked in required it, a different community didn't, and they usually just signed the paper plans, and we kept a copy at the office and scanned it. So it's up to the board. So it's just, basically my point is, if you're gonna require the recording, then there's a need for the Mylar. If you don't want the plans recorded at the end, you don't need the Mylar. So just something to think about.
I'm gonna think about that one.
Okay.
I mean, on a couple of earlier submissions, it seemed like the town could not put their hands on a copy of the signed plans.
Oh,
So if it is recorded.
You
if-
can
if
always
they-
get your hands on them if they're recorded.
Yeah. If they'll take, I don't know what the registry will take for recording or not recording, but that's the advantage of getting it recorded at the registry of deeds. Then you can probably bet that they won't lose it.
Odds are
That's
against.
all.
Odds are against.
I mean, that was a real issue on, it was one or two plans. I forget which particular ones they
Trust me, I
were,
remember.
but we were trying to say, well, what are they required to do? And, well, let's take a look at the plan.
yeah,
And the plan never appeared,
yeah.
so.
So under 112, comment 23, I was just wondering if the board still wants to have that in there about having the applicant provide an annual energy output summary.
They've got to do it anyway.
Okay.
I mean, they've got to say how much electricity they're producing, either to NSTAR or the Department of Public Utilities, and it will affect the payback on the array.
Okay.
So we're not asking for dollars, which would be another thing altogether. Which is, well, what did it generate? And they've already got that number. I
Okay.
guarantee it, because that determines how much money they're going to get back on the
If we
installation.
ever ask for it, I guess that's the whole next question.
Well, right. I mean, it's something I can keep in mind and make sure I'm following up on.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
why I figured I'd ask to see if this
Yeah.
is something that you guys really want monitored. If not, then maybe we don't need it in there. But
All right, let me ask you a question. If they don't tell us every year what they're producing for power, do they have any contact with us in any other way, shape, or form?
Yeah, when they ask
They
us for
don't.
relief
Like when
on,
they're up and running, you
a
mean?
security for fencing, for landscaping, for a final sign off on the project.
Well, these solar fields are constantly being sold.
correct. Yeah.
Can they be sold without us being notified that it had been sold.
Typically, they're supposed to notify. I don't know if it's a
But
law.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Some towns will put it in the conditions of the permit. Doesn't mean that's always adhered to, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's still hard to track
Yeah,
down
without,
who
without
owns it.
enforcement, any
Right.
regulation is
Well, it's hard to
non-existent.
know, when it gets sold if they don't notify.
So if this stays in, and they're required to notify us what they produce, just like they're required to tell everybody else, then we know every year who owns the project.
If they're submitting that.
And it's still an active site. Because again,
Yeah.
now where does it come into place? For some reason or the other, these things get shut down.
You know,
And
that's,
then
that's interesting. If they sell, quote, the project, does that go to the assessor's office, that the land has changed hands?
The land doesn't
Yeah,
change
I know, the
hands.
land is not the
Yeah,
panels,
usually
I
it's just
understand.
a lease. So I'm actually not sure because it's a lease area.
I mean,
It's a little
they-
different. I mean, for tax purposes.
I'm just gonna
No,
say,
that's-
They
owner of the
owe
property.
personal property taxes
oh, yeah.
up to a certain time. I know whatever the depreciation is, once it gets all depreciated out, I don't know whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or whatever. But the town is owed property tax, or personal property tax on the solar array and the installation, including any poles, any wires, or any structures.
Okay. That's something I can ask if they.
Yeah,
assessors
let's
just
go ahead and ask
notify,
that.
'cause I'm
Yeah.
not
I just
sure.
wanna know, do we get notified when it changes hands?
And I think it's a good thing to know.
Yeah, we definitely should know.
No, absolutely.
Because there are sureties that are in place.
Right.
That they might come to us and say, hey, we just sold, we want our money back. Or sureties might stay with the sale
Yeah.
as well. I just would like to know if we need to contact somebody to say, hey, your plants are dead or your fence
Right.
fell down.
Yep.
I need to know who to go contact. Or
Yep.
we need to know who to go contact if we have an issue that they're in our town. If they trade hands somehow, they sell, we should know. If there is a way that we know they're gonna, whether it's the assessor's office or
Yeah.
whatever, then yeah, we probably don't need to know how
Okay.
much power they develop. It
Okay,
doesn't
so
make a
it's more
difference to
about
us.
just me.
I just wanna make sure that
making
we get notified if anything gets sold. And as you know, we all know, we have some that have been sold 3 times already and they haven't even broken ground yet.
Right.
So these things get
And
sold
they may
left and
never.
right. These things get sold left and right, and I think we should be notified. If there is a way that we're getting notified, great.
If they notify us, it goes in the files so
Right.
that we can look them up.
Right, we have a contact name and
Okay.
whoever we can get to in case there's an issue at one of the sites in our town.
And like they said, they gotta they're doing a filing anyway. This is just like, this is easy for them to turn around and
They
say.
can just CC us when they CC Eversource or whoever else they're sending it to.
Yeah.
They can
It's not a
send
big
it to
deal.
us as well. That's fine, I mean, I don't care how much they're producing, it doesn't
No.
make a difference to us. But at least it keeps us
But believe me, Eversource knows
Oh, I'm sure.
how
they-
much electricity is coming out of that
I'm sure they know.
every day practically, but certainly once a
There's a
year.
filing date, you get a rough idea, but like Mark said, it's got multiple uses.
Okay, well, Victoria did a really great job, I think you did a really great job.
Can I say
Kind of-
one thing?
Go, please.
Sorry,
Yeah. Oh, did I miss the last one? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just the last one. That was just for consistency. It's about decommissioning, and it mentions the owner shall physically remove the installation no more than 150 days, but later in that section, it says 60 days, so just about picking one and
Okay, just to make it
sticking
consistent.
with it. But sorry, last comment.
Yeah, no, good. I mean, 60 days is kind of short. I mean,
Yep.
I would say 150 days. Let's just take consistent
More
with that.
realistic.
For more realistic, yeah. So Victoria went through this with a fine tooth comb. I think she did a great job. Now it's up to you guys to decide, or us as a board will, we take this home, look it over.
I would like that opportunity.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Go home, take it over, read it over, what the changes that she's got here, add some of your own.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I'll give you my, and I'll do the same, but right off the bat, there's a lot in here that's repetitive. In one reason, I think we should leave the repetitiveness as long as it's all the same, because then somebody can't say, I missed that. Because if it says in here 5 times that you need screening, or you need a fence, or it's 150 feet away.
It's going to be harder to say.
It's
Well,
hard.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that
I
was
didn't
an
know it was
issue.
on there. Well, it says it in here 5 different places.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But it's usually, it's under a different, it's almost underneath a different, even though it's repetitive, it's underneath a different title,
No, I agree.
That's why I'm good
I
with leaving it.
understand.
Yeah, I'm fine with
ways.
leaving something that's repetitive, even though it's under a different section, as long as the repetitiveness is the exact same thing.
The exact same thing, yeah.
I'm fine with that. And again, just for the fact of,
This goes.
Just
back to
like
what you were
dealing
saying
with your
before.
kids. I told you that, I told you
100
the
times.
exact same thing before.
Probably have them notify us about what they're producing, because this says, any large solar array installation which has reached the end of its useful life. Say that thing,
it's got shut off, and we don't even know it got shut off, and then
That's
they
why-
walked away from it a year ago.
that's why we wanna keep that coming in.
Sure.
And that'll basically kick in decommission.
I hope I'll be 6 feet under by the time that rolls around, but.
Never know.
Okay, so just kind of take 5 minutes, read over what Victoria redlined, make any changes of your own. At the next meeting, we'll kind of go over it again and make some decisions on what we are going to keep and what we're not going to keep, so then we can just kind of push this one aside as being done.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah, I think we clarified half of it already.
Most of it's very clear.
Right.
And it'll probably be very quick on the next one, but again, just do take 5 minutes of your private time, look this over. At the next meeting, we'll put the solar bylaw to bed. Fabulous. Moving on. Discussion of paper street policy.
Devil.
Speaking of the devil, yeah. Again, we need to really, we really need to have something written on what our policy is
Oh,
for
absolutely.
paper streets.
Absolutely.
I'll be the first one to admit, I really don't know where to start on this. I think it's really complicated. Rick, I know you've been diving into this.
Well, Victoria sent out via email 2 examples from 2 other towns of what they've got for paper street policies. I would recommend starting with those 2. One of them is relatively simple, and other one's more complicated. And the very first one she sent us was the master's thesis of how to deal with.
That was.
30 pages long, that's what it is.
Sorry, guys.
And I would start with those 2. The simple one is 2 or 3 pages long and relatively easy to understand. The second one, I didn't count the pages because it was all divvied up by sections, but there may be somewhere in between that makes more sense, or it may make the most sense to do the initial 30-page one. The 3 that we have as examples, I'm assuming already the Attorney General has looked at those and has approved them, if they're part of the town bylaw. I don't know, I'm asking the question.
So I gave two examples. One of them I just resent from the last meeting. So it's 2 examples from, one of them is rules and regulations of, I think it says DPW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, long.
Yeah, for long minute. So I don't think the Attorney General approves rules and regulations. Typically, I don't know how it would work for
No,
DPW. It's the same
and-
mechanism as,
I mean,
Just a
I
public
guess,
hearing.
and I understand.
yeah.
What is the legal mechanism for the Department of Public Works to get to decide how the road is built before a building permit is issued? I just don't,
Yeah, I can't answer that.
there may be a way, and there probably is, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's what East Longmeadow is saying in theirs. I like
Yeah.
how they attack this is very good, because what they're saying right off the bat is, we're trying to do this so that every time it's consistent
Yeah,
with what we do.
right.
And,
It's the first verbiage on the whole thing. So,
and when you make the Department of Public Works responsible for it, now they're the ones that are under on the firing squad, or on the wrong end of the firing squad when it comes to saying, you can have this as a building lot or you can't. You know, I think that there should be some understanding on the selectmen's side and on the Board of Public Works side. This is what you're getting yourself into if we do it that way.
Oh, just to be clear, I wasn't saying that I think this should go under DPW, nor have I even consulted.
No,
with
I
them.
understand.
Oh, okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
to make that clear. This was just, that what came up when I was trying to research policies. Not a lot of towns have anything written, so what I could find.
Yeah, we definitely need a version, whether it's a 30-page version or a 3-page version, we need something.
Something.
A
That,
Bible to go by.
we need
This
something
is
to go
what it
by,
is.
yeah.
If it's nothing more than the building inspector can hand it to an applicant and say, this is what you have to do.
Right, and whatever we come up with as a board, obviously, we'll send it to the building inspector, get his approval on it. You know, we'll send it to all the departments, get their approval on
Yeah.
whatever we all agree on. But yeah, let's start off by reading the 30-pager and reading the 3-pager, and let's highlight this. I mean, I hate to give you guys homework, but let's.
Well, either that or we're gonna be arguing about every
Yeah,
one of
and
these.
I really felt bad for Mr. Baptiste, because I know he was here, and I know, I've been in his shoes where, you come in and you get frustrated because you keep having to come back, and I don't like doing that. I want to have something more concise and say, hey, before you even come with us, read this, make sure that you follow all these things. We have that with just about everything, but as we know, now everybody out there knows Paper Streets is just one of those things that it's a really big gray area that we need to darken a little bit.
And we have a lot of them in town.
We have a lot of them.
There are literally hundreds of lots that,
To that point, can I ask one question? You may be able to answer this. Is there any law that allows a statute of limitations on a previously recorded?
none that I'm aware, yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would have to be revisited.
None that I'm aware of, other than the ability to have in the town zoning bylaw that the planning board can determine whether the way is adequate to service the lot. That's the only thing that I'm aware of, and that's why a lot of towns have got paper street regulations, or policies or whatever. I think probably, I don't know that there are probably as many that have so many lots on these paper streets, but.
Well, I guess what I was, so if you had a lot basically owned by a subdivision that was recorded and one person or one family owns all this property, and it was done back in 1910, okay? What, is there anything that we would be able to do so that it's gotta be basically almost redone, at that point? Because it was never acted on.
Yeah.
There wasn't even one house put in that whole thing.
Well, there's hundreds of
No,
them.
that's what I'm getting at.
That's what I think, you're asking a seriously legal question.
I am,
Yeah.
so, but,
That's a seriously legal question, which the proponent, it's his responsibility to get counsel to prove to us that what you're saying is true. It's the proponent's responsibility to get a lawyer, and this is what Mr. Baptiste maybe should have done from the get-go, where he put the horse before the cart. It's the proponent's responsibility, get counsel, get it written, we look at it, we don't know, we give it to counsel, counsel already has everything in front of them from the other counsel, he's just double checking, and then at the end, he's like, yeah, he's right, or because of this reason, he's wrong. But it's their responsibility to do that.
Do you have a highlighter by any chance?
So, I understand what you're saying, and it's possible. I don't know.
but I guess it's either possible or
Let's have this
it can't be done. It's illegal,
Yeah, I don't have anything here.
without getting too complicated with it.
Way back then, now, you could go in and just combine lots. That's what we're talking about right now with these paper streets.
I'm not
Right, but prior to that, I get what you're saying, but a bit, like I said, this thing was developed in, like this, in
Yeah.
1917.
Right.
Okay, is that even, and because nothing was done to that. you know, it's kind of like a special permit, right?
Does it
It's not-
expire? Does that
it
ever expire?
expires.
Yeah, yeah,
It-
I don't know, I don't know.
Well, isn't
Again,
that-
Or can we, or
That's before
can,
zoning, it's before,
Right, which is why
That's
they
all
have
right.
to
This
come
is,
back in front of the
blue is
board
probably better.
for the improvement of the paper street.
right.
And now with this new being able to
Just trying to
separate
get
lots that were
clarification
combined,
with that, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
paper
yeah.
streets are gonna
Exactly.
come into play.
More so than
More
they
so
were.
than-
Right, exactly.
So
Because
if
people are
it-
gonna start unmerging all their properties.
Yeah, and if there's a paper street in front of them, and they have one property that was merged, and now they know they can get two out of it, and there's a paper street there, well, now it gives them the incentive to do something with
To
that.
build the street
To build the street and
And
do
merge.
something, yeah.
and
And
unmerge.
not merge it. So, so just, again, just so we can get through this, take 10 minutes, take a look at some of these, and let's come back next meeting and try to have a few comments, so we can put this to bed as well, because we keep pushing this off.
Can I just show the board one thing, and I really, I don't like to give people a hard time. And the guys put a lot of money and a lot of time into this. To, the way I look at this plan, okay? If the purpose is to just add a piece of something to this lot and a piece of something to this lot, and this lot is already built on, he said that, didn't he, that there was already a house there, or not?
That I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think he has any houses.
Not on his
Okay,
lot.
oh, no,
Lot.
I mean, this, it could be fronting on
On
the
this,
street.
on,
It's on
I
Cushman
think
Street.
there's no house of his on any of his lots. So there's no house like it.
Okay, well, I would say, if this A&R showed this as a lot and this as a lot, I still am unclear about the rest of it. To me, it looks like he's trying to add frontage to this piece of the lot. That's what it looks like to me.
I agree.
You know, and when I asked, why do you need this plan? I never got an answer. That bothers me. When people, but if he had come in and said, okay, this thing is crosshatched, and this thing is crosshatched,
And this is a solid line.
and that's a solid line, because that's a street.
We could have done that.
He could have done that, and I'm just gonna put this up for consideration by the board at some future date. Because the street is not built, not to be considered a building lot unless and until the planning board determines that Page Street provides adequate access to it, to this lot.
It's gonna be
And
everywhere.
same thing for this lot, same thing for this lot, and I don't know about this one, because I don't see the rest of it.
Right.
You know, and I don't see, if he's got another house that's somewhere else, why does he need to add this to this lot? It's a huge lot already. I just wanted to, just tell me, just tell me.
You
Don't
keep
duck the
saying-
question.
Well, my question, and I'm
It
not
is part
denying,
of
I'm not denying that. But, and again, I'm not an engineer, so I don't create plans.
I used to pretend I was an
Why
engineer.
did this engineer put this dotted line here if it's part of this lot?
Because they're actually in
we don't know.
separate deed books, okay? It's not in the same deed book,
Okay,
okay? This is in one deed, but apparently he bought these after this. So there's a deed for these two lots, okay?
yeah,
So what it's actually showing that this is on this deed and this is on this deed, okay?
Okay.
After so many years, interior lines dissolve. Once common ownership and you, like in the town, this town, after 8 years, that line dissolves, it's gone, okay?
if you have common ownership, and after 8 years, you don't do anything.
Interior
with it-
lines dissolve.
Okay, wasn't aware.
But that's interior lines, providing that neither one of them are basically.
Like I said, I think there's something else going on
Yeah,
with
so
this
what we're
plan
doing,
that they don't want to tell us.
The only issue I had with it was this hidden line, period, that's it, that's the only problem I had with it.
Point taken. All right, moving on.
All right, sorry.
No, don't be. town planner update, model bylaw for the, please.
Okay. I know it's been a long meeting, so we definitely don't have to take this up tonight, but something for the board to, continue thinking about is that the state just released a model bylaw for the accessory dwelling units. So it's just something for the board to maybe start looking at and anticipate for fall meeting, because I know for this town meeting, we're looking to remove anything that's in conflict with the state law, so it might be worth just, I know we're working on the solar, but
Yeah,
just something to-
just do it, I mean, unless there's something that looks obviously extra and above the way they've set up the law. I mean, you
Well,
might as well have it the same.
We
It's
can
just-
have it
it's
the
just
same,
setting
but
up-
there are things that we can add to it.
Yeah.
And Victoria and I were actually discussing this earlier. For example, 900 square feet is the minimum or maximum that you can build.
Under that accessory dwelling unit.
Right. As a town, we could say, no, we're okay with 1,200 square feet. This is just an example. We can't go less than what the town, the state,
Yeah.
but we can make it more by special permit.
Yeah, and it has to be a separate, they call it a local ADU, is the term they're giving it. And they're leaving the one that meets the state regulations, a protected use ADU, because you have to allow that by right, what the state's
But
requiring.
if there's things that we would like as a board to add to what the state has put, we can. So that's something, again, we have other ones that take a little bit more precedence. She just put this in here for reading material for you. This is something that we'll probably attack for fall. We want to get through especially the solar bylaw, but this is just something to start taking into consideration.
So, with that being, to what your point was basically, if we would allow in excess of 900 square feet, that could be done by special permit. Not by,
Not by right.
Not by right.
Correct.
Correct. Yes, that would be up to the town's choice for the local ADU, but you still have to allow for the protected use ADU.
Granted, but anything,
Okay.
anything in excess of that, you would, a special permit would need to be issued if, say, we were gonna allow 1,200 square feet, okay?
Right, it'd be
But
by
that-
special permit, it
It'd
wouldn't
be
be
by
by right.
special, it wouldn't be by right, it'd be by
Right.
special permit.
Yeah,
And then
that
you
would be
can-
up to the town.
And then you can elaborate back to that
Yeah.
with, the certain
All the
setbacks,
extensions.
you can elaborate to that. But that was just an example. If there are things in here that you read and you're like, oh, we can make this more, or hey, we can do this, just sort of take into consideration. Alrighty then. Other business?
I have none, thank you.
Fabulous. Our next meeting is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss?
Motion to adjourn?
You got a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.